Hello and welcome to the Home Assistant Podcast. My name is Phil. Joining me as usual, I've got Rohan. Hey, Rohan, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. As usual, this episode of the Home Assistant Podcast is sponsored by Home Assistant Cloud by Nabukasa. Easily access your local Home Assistant instance remotely for a small monthly fee that supports the Home Assistant, ESP Home, Z-Wave.js, and a whole bunch of other projects. Configuration is done via the user interface, so there's no fiddling with router settings, SSL certificates, or any YAML. All right, Rohan, 2024.11 is here.
It is November.
So pleased to see this one. I think it's finally here. Sections. We've been talking about it, I feel as though like all year. I guess this was the year of the dashboard,
Yeah.
maybe. So sections, the new sections layout or the sections types of dashboards are now marked as stable and they are officially here to stay. Um, And as part of that new rollout of sections being official, there is now the ability to convert old dashboards. So, if you're old, even if you're coming all the way from when they were called Lovelace still, you can now convert them into the section layout, which will then allow you to have them automatically move around, give you all of the fancy new uh, drag and drop, resizing, yeah, all the fun stuff that's been coming out this year. Um, yeah, that's fantastic to see, and great to see they got it done in like this is the goal, right? Make dashboards and everything look nicer, and they did it in the year.
Yeah, it was pretty good actually, 'cause I know when they showed us not us, it was public, right? They showed the roadmap and they wanted to say, we have a focus on dashboards this year. We wanna improve that user interface and the user experience there. Uh, like, they did it within calendar year, right? It's November, and they're pretty much like, "Hey, this is official." Not to say that they're done and they're not gonna improve it or do anything else to it. But now it's more enhancements rather than actual core functionality, right? So um, that I think is a pretty cool way to look at it, and it's a pretty cool uh, feat that they actually got that into GA that quickly, right? If you exactly, yeah, and if you weren't familiar, I mean, it's been there for a little bit, right? But it's not. It wasn't. It was in a public beta, right? So it's a preview. So in the sense that it could change, if they feel like they could pull it, they can do whatever, right? It's basically saying like, hey, we're trying this out. We're trying to get it to a stable state. We have intention of doing this. Let's see how it goes, kind of thing, right? A little more stable than that. I mean, typically, I don't see them pulling out stuff too much. But there has been a couple of things where there is chance that it could vastly change, right? They might just change the whole thing and say, okay, everything you did now is now different. But once it gets to a stable state, then you pretty much know that it's going to be if that does happen, it's going to happen over time, and it's going to be slight changes or slight bumps to a specific direction, rather than just being like, hey, we're going to do this all at once, unless something drastic kind of happens. So that's a pretty good beat there.
Yeah, definitely.
Something else coming too, low latency cameras. So now cameras will try to use WebRTC when possible. So because those are peer to peer, and that way it's the most kind of direct path, right? So it's a little faster typically in that way. So for example, my home assistant might be using connecting directly to my doorbell or camera or what have you, and pulling the video via WebRTC, connecting directly to there. Um, Sometimes it's not possible, so it might need to get relayed by an external server. And if you're a Home Assistant Cloud subscriber, that's where Home Assistant Cloud comes in, right? From so leverage service used by Navicasa and say, hey, you know what? I can actually proxy that through there.
It's interesting. Like I, I've only just got like a very cheap RTSP camera running
Mhm.
through the labs feature of my unified gateway. Um, so very new, like very first camera that I would get, very close to being integrated into Home Assistant this way. I do wonder, like, if you've got a local camera, how does the Nabukasa, like, what is? I can see that you don't want your local home business instance,
Yeah.
server having to process those images and then clogging up that server, right? Because then you walk into
Mhm.
a room and the lights don't turn on because you're trying to stream your local video. Does that mean that my local camera feed is then going out to the cloud and then back down to be processed?
I think it depends on the integration. So I and we can get somebody from NABU to confirm this, but I believe the way I would understand it is so if I'm so that there's two pieces of this, right? If I'm on the road and I'm trying to stream my camera, that would get fed via
Oh, of course, remote access. That makes sense. Yes.
so
Yes.
exactly. So your device proxies it, right? Because it's behind my firewall, behind whatever. And essentially what happens is in my case, my home assistant yellow um, punches out a secure tunnel up to Nabukasa, and then Nabukasa would say, "Hey, here, Rohan's phone, where I'm out at the grocery store. Just send it through, run it through me, and I will securely kind of pass it through back and forth." Right? It's just a proxy, so it doesn't actually they don't actually do anything with it. They're just saying, "Hey, outside world, run through this little tunnel to go to the inside world." That doesn't make you comfortable, you don't have to do that. You can There's a ton of other options where you can self-host it. You can punch a hole in your firewall again, and, kinda like our initial, statement says, that means you do have to fiddle with router settings, you do have to fiddle with certificates and stuff like that, potentially, if that's something, you wanna do. There's also other options like running Cloudflare Tunnel and doing a bunch of those things, right? So depending on what you're doing, there's a lot of options. I like Home Assistant Cloud just because again, just easy for me to set up. I do have a setup where I can run it through securely, but it's I could have it so that it's going through 5 different stages of stuff, or I could just kick it up to Navigasa and have them deal with it, right? So that's kind of the idea there. The other side of it is like a potentially a cloud to cloud kind of connection, right? So if you have something that's running a camera that runs in the cloud, and it fires things like again like webhooks or something like that, depending on what the platform is and how it works and so on and so forth. That could get proxied through Nabukasa as well. Um, Usually not, but it could. Um, I I'm not sure about how it works with WebRTC or if they actually have or sorry, not with WebRTC, but with like RTSP or some other protocols like that. I don't think Nabu would be handling those connections just because that would come in through that probably would come directly to your device, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, no, there you go. I've learned something today. Thank you for the explanation.
And again, this is Rohan's explanation of that, right? It might not be 100% accurate. I'm pretty sure it is, but again, I know Frank listens to this, so Frank, if you want to leave a comment on YouTube or something like that for folks to look at, that would be awesome.
All right. Blueprints. So, if you're not familiar with blueprints, are a way for the community to share their automations and allow you to then download that blueprint. You can then fill out your own entities and have that automation or script do the thing. Lots of cool blueprints. I was just in there the other day trying to look for some for this new feature, and yeah, I was just amazed at just cool little things. Right, like there's you've got like a Philips Hue dimmer remote. There's people that have created a blueprint that allows you to map all the buttons and just you can do it all through the UI. Anyway, this release 2024.11 brings in the ability for templates to have blueprints. Now, I am a very big fan of templates. Templates use the Ginger slash Home Assistant templating language underneath the hood, and you can do some very, very cool stuff. I use templates to do some, like, is this group state on while this person is home? So some Bayesian sensors. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. What's cool now is that because there's a lot of people that are more smarter than me and will do some more crazy stuff with templates. People can now create blueprints for those template entities and publish them up into the Home Assistant forums, and then you can download them. So I am very keen to see what the community comes up with in terms of these template entities, and and I think that's a great addition for blueprints as well. Very good use case.
Home Assistant Supervisor logs are also now getting, they're actually live now, so you don't have to hit refresh every time. They're actually just streaming directly into the UI, so that's a nice little change. It's usually you don't wanna refresh as you're looking for something.
Yeah, particularly when you're trying to debug something, right? Like, okay, go off, fire this device. Yep, hit the refresh button. Nope. Now I've got to go through like all the other logs that I don't care about. Uh,
Yeah,
all right, Fibaro, they have the Fibaro integration now has power sensors when using the Fibaro integration. So that's for the home center or the UB home hub. That's a great addition there.
nice. Husqvarna auto mower. So there's new work area sensors that lets you see the progress percent and the last time a specific area was mowed. That's kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, so you've got like a front yard. It will say, all right, the front yard
Yeah,
has been, done 50% of the time, and it was done, 2 days ago, whereas the backyard
yeah.
was. Yeah, that's very cool. All right, Spotify. So big updates to Spotify this release. I'll try and break it down, but there is a whole bunch of new sensors that have been added to the Spotify integration, which I can only imagine you're going to be able to pump into AI and do some magic with. But so I'll just rattle off some of these cool sensors. So song acousticness will indicate how much the sound is free from electronic modification. So if the sensor is 100%, it means it hasn't been modified at all. Um, there's the danceability score of a song. So it describes how suitable a track is for dancing based on a combination of elements. The song energy in percent will give you a measurement of the intensity and activity of a song. So typically, an energetic song would be fast, loud, noisy. Yeah, where a death metal might have high energy. Uh, so that's cool. The instrumentalness of a song, so how much vocals the song contains, the key of the song, the liveness, so if there's an audience present in the recording, uh, the mode or the modality, major, minor of a song, the speechiness, the how much of spoken words are in a song, and the variance of a song. So, um,
Valence.
oh, valence. Sorry, yes, I just completely misread that. The song Valence, yes, in percent. So how much it sounds more positive, happy, euphoric, and a low valence would be more like negative, sad, depressed.
That's a lot of made up words.
Is
It's it is.
um so first of
Our
all,
show notes right now, half of them are just showing wrong, right?
yeah,
Like incorrect
exactly like
spelling or something like
incorrect, yeah.
acousticness, instrumentalness.
Um I love that there is this data. I have like one, also I love that Spotify provides this data. Um it's to their API, and that in turn we can get that into Home Assistant, and now they're just exposed as sensors. Uh, I would love to know what people are going to do with this data. Are they just going to shove it off to AI and build their own, maybe like how Spotify does your Spotify Wrapped every year? Like it will give you a breakdown of what you've been listening to. Mine has been broken for years because have kids now, and it's always like you listen just to the Wiggles, right? And you don't like anything else but the Wiggles now. Um,
That's right.
but yeah, like I'll be interested to see like are people kind of try and use this data to make their own Spotify Wrapped, or are they maybe going to try and maybe automate playlists? Find playlists that have that high liveliness or danceability, and if a song has been chosen by Spotify Radio, for example, and it has this sort of criteria, are they just going to automate putting that into a playlist for future you know rotation?
I wonder if you could also do hey, like I could use a boost right now, right? And
Yeah,
it finds a playlist, goes through that playlist and says, okay, you know what, I'm gonna pick these songs. Like again, and this might be you run it through like a GPT of some kind, of chat GPT or Gemini or something like that. And it says, okay, you know what, here is all of the, I don't know, like the danceability or the valence to make it, make sure these are like happier, right? Or something
yeah.
like that, right? And and come up with a playlist that way. That might be kind of cool. yeah, like, I don't know, I feel like this is really cool, and I have absolutely no use for it. But I still think it's super cool, right? It's
As someone that doesn't listen to Taylor Swift, I wanna know because, from purely as an outside person only, right? The songs are generally about breakups and stuff, but they're energetic, right? So does that mean that when it comes to, like danceability or, uh, valence, right? Like, is it a happy song? Like, does it come up as a happy mood because you can dance to it and it's jivey?
well, it might still be high valence, right? Because it
Mm,
sounds happy, even though the words might not be.
yeah. So I'd be yeah, just this data existing, I didn't know was possible, but yeah, with the Pandora's box it could open.
It's This is interesting. So again, tangent here. So Spotify is just starting to raise. So right now, I have a family plan, right? And so myself, my wife has one, and I think my parents have one. Whatever. I'm at the point where they keep raising their prices, and it's gonna be like, what is it, like 22 or 20 some of that, right? Bucks Canadian a month, and I'm like, that's a lot, right? Um, it's I don't know, and I'm a part of me is like, do I start canceling Spotify? And I used to have YouTube Premium, which I enjoyed because I do watch a lot of YouTube, which comes with YouTube Music. But YouTube Music kind of isn't. I don't
Not
know.
the
It's
same?
not. It's not. It's not. It's not Spotify, right? And there's the like the Amazon Echoes don't support YouTube Music today,
Mm,
um, which I didn't know. I assumed it would have, but it doesn't. Um, and that kind of thing. And again, we listen to a lot through our Amazon Echoes, right? But I also have a Prime membership, and I was like, I don't really care for the Amazon music. I don't know. It just feels like it's kind of stupid.
I don't know about you, I always find, like, even Prime TV, right, like, I just feel as though it's
Yeah.
do you have the like, have you got a brand John West? But we have we have a brand down here in Australia at least. It's like a tuna, brand. It's John West, right? And I remember growing up as a kid, the ad was always, "This is the tuna that John West rejected," right? And it would be like to say that they always got the premium stuff. I always felt as though, like, any TV show or movie that's on Amazon Prime is just whatever Netflix or, HBO or whoever else has just
Yeah.
rejected, and it's just landed on Prime, right? No one else has got it.
I don't
Um,
yeah, like I like shows on Prime. I just don't watch them on Prime. Right? Like my wife and I just started watching the second season of Special Ops Lioness, and I want to say that's a Prime show. I'm not sure if that's a and so season 2 of it just came out. Oh, it's Paramount Plus. Okay, yeah, I don't
right.
do that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like again, like even like I growing up, I was a big Top Gear fan, and a lot of their new shows on all of the new shows on Prime, right? They
Mm,
have exclusivity there. And even Jeremy Clarkson has this like Clarkson's Farm show and stuff, which I don't know, I enjoy. It's a good background, like dumb show to have on the background as you're like, I don't know, cleaning your dishes or something. But I don't, I hate Prime, and I don't know why. Um,
yeah,
it's like,
and now
actually got some
Prime's got
cool features,
ads.
and even oh, well, that too, right? And it's like, but you know what? I downgraded my Netflix plan. It's painful, but um, I actually get a lot less ads on Netflix than I thought I would, which is
Interesting.
interesting. And then I still get some, but it's not annoying.
Mhm.
Um, and then YouTube is just so I'm like, a part of me is like, okay, if I go YouTube Premium, then I will get music and I'll get thing, but and obviously ad free YouTube, but it's also like I don't know. Then I lose the ability to play stuff on my Amazon Echoes, right? Maybe I keep Spotify free for that. I don't know. I don't. I
You can't not use Spotify free for
do
Echoes.
Spotify free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I yeah I don't know. So I'm kind of stuck. I'd love to know what people are doing. A part of me is like, hey, I know one of the suggestions is going to be just download your music, right? But I actually discover a lot of new music on Spotify, which I really like
Yes. Yeah.
doing. And YouTube seems to have. I've been playing with YouTube Music the last few days. It seems to have kind of similar facilities to discover new music and stuff like that. Maybe not as well tuned to my liking because I've started using it for, I don't know, like 4 days as opposed to years.
Yep.
Uh, but I don't know. I'd love to know people's thoughts.
I would say
Leave
check out
a comment.
SoundCloud. I um, so I have
Interesting.
the Echoes in around our house, and they're all linked to. So we have a family plan too, but the voice control is linked to my personal Spotify, right? And to switch accounts between on the Echo device to switch to someone else's Spotify, like it's painful, right? Like especially when you've got kids you're trying to get to sleep, right? Like, and we're also integrated with Sonos, so it's not as it's like a half-baked Alexa integration. Ooh, I just said her name. My apologies. So, um, uh, for what I've found is that I can like if we've got one kid asleep, listening to Spotify, and the other kid wants, for example, I mentioned before the Wiggles. A lot of music from the Wiggles is uploaded to SoundCloud, so then I can get on my phone through the Sonos app and say, "Hey, and find the Wiggles song that is from the same album." Right? I think it's even uploaded by the Wiggles to SoundCloud, and play it through the Sonos speakers from SoundCloud, which then doesn't cut out the other room listening to Spotify's version of that Wiggles song. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, there is like a whole bunch of music on SoundCloud,
Interesting.
uploaded by both the artists, probably not uploaded by the artists. Bit of a grey area there. Um, I'm into electronic music, so there's a lot of DJs that put their mixes up, radio shows. Yeah, so I would say check out SoundCloud, and I don't pay for SoundCloud, and it's available on my Sonos speakers. So
Interesting.
um,
Okay. I'll have
whereas
to check
opposed
those out.
to Spotify and Sonos and, the Amazon Echoes, you would need to have the premium subscription to use them.
Yeah. The only time I ever use SoundCloud is if someone is like, "Hey, like, oh, listen to this new artist that I found on
Yep,
whatever,"
yep.
right? And which hasn't happened in years, right? Where it's like I don't remember the last time I've actually gone on SoundCloud. It might be like 5 years maybe.
And I don't think it's changed.
Yeah, no, I'll give it a shot. That's a great tip. Anybody else has any tips, throw it in the comments. I would love to know, or shoot us an email because this is something I'm trying to do to save a little bit of money at least every month. Uh,
Go back to CDs, although buying one CD would probably cost you a subscription.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I and you know what, I've been like searching and stuff. I've found like a couple of services I didn't even know existed, but they also integrate into Music Assistant, which is cool. Um, and but they're like super premium quality. I'm like, I don't I love music. I don't have the ears for being an
yeah,
audiophile, I think. Maybe I do, but I don't know, like, can I tell the difference between really, really high quality audio and high quality audio? Maybe. I haven't actually ever done the comparison to myself, uh, but it's probably a good thing. It's usually cheaper to go with crappier quality, and if I can't hear the difference, so it's
I think that's it, right?
yeah. But I do love music. I enjoy music. I listen to it all the time. So it's this, it's SoundCloud's almost, I don't know, an investment in insanity, if you want to call it that, right? And it's yeah, we'll see. Anyways, that was my slight.
Nice little tangent on music services.
That's right. That's right. Okay. One last thing from a new feature perspective as well. The Meter Pro for SwitchBot is now supported. So and then also SwitchBot Cloud now gets support for locks. So there you go.
Very nice. Locks. All right, some new integrations landing in 2024.11. The Husqvarna Auto Motor BLE is now supported. So BLE obviously being Bluetooth Low Energy. The integration is based on the Automower BLE library, which is an unofficial reverse engineered Husqvarna Automower Connect BLE library. Um, so, first of all, I don't like that it's unofficial. As reverse engineered means firmware update could come out and stops working. But really love that it is BLE and local controlled. So this means cloud goes down, or you're in a remote property with no internet, you can use this with the Bluetooth. And I think it would work really well with like the BLE proxies, right? From like just get an ESP device, chuck an ESP home device, chuck ESP home on it, and away you go.
Yeah, stick one maybe outside in an enclosure or something like that, and you have an outside one now, so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely like when I a few years time when my kids are old enough and I don't have to worry about things being chewed up in the lawn, and I come to looking at a robot lawnmower, like stuff like this is appealing, right? Particularly the local no
Yeah.
cloud control.
Palizzetti, so you can now control Palizzetti stoves, which is not like a gas stove, it's an actual, like well, it's gas, but it's not, or I think pellet stoves, actually. But it is not a cooking stove, it is a heating stove, right? So to heat your room. So you can control Palisadie stoves using a local connection. The integration offers a climate entity that allows you to read the room temperature, start and stop the stove, and set the target temperature and the fan speed. So there you go. It's nice for if you have like a cabin up north or something.
I'm glad we clarified the stove because I think we were discussing just before we started, like who is going to
Yeah,
automate like their kitchen stove, like turning off and on, right? Like I don't want to accidentally, burn my house down.
yeah,
So
yeah,
no,
exactly. Especially if it's a gas stove. it's
yeah, yeah. All right. The next one, and probably my favorite, a little addition uh, to Home Assistant 2024.11 is the LG ThinQ integration. Now, I have been using the hacks component by, I believe it's Olio69 on GitHub, which was a you know reverse engineered like smart ThinQ integration. So I have my LG fridge connected up through that. But my favorite part of this is that LG, and we talk about companies doing the opposite all the time, where they will pull devices out from people, remove API access. LG have actually come to the party this time and created an official home assistant integration for the LG ThinQ range of devices. So uh, yeah, this is like I am really pleased that I've got an LG fridge, particularly a ThinQ fridge, just based on this, right? It's like the fact that LG have come to the party and said, you know what, we don't want people using hacked versions of our API or anything like that. Let's just create an official add-on, and it's got a
amazing.
whole bunch of devices. Like I think probably more than the hacks component. At least I know there's even on my fridge. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that sensor could be available. So yeah, kudos to LG for doing this, and kudos to uh, Olo for creating the original hacks version. Right? Um, so yeah, LG ThinQ now officially supported in Home Assistant, no hacks required. Um, yep,
Is it a cloud API?
it
So
is
you have to get
cloud
the
still. It's definitely still cloud. So
you know
take the
what?
win for what it is, right?
It's better than nothing, right? Exactly. Exactly. I don't know. I that that is it's really nice uh, to see actual manufacturers doing this and saying, "Hey, I'm going to bring my API into Home Assistant, whatever."
Yeah.
And hopefully it's not a one-time operation. Hopefully they do update it as new things come out or things get deprecated and so on and so forth. Hopefully that's kept up with. Um, That is very cool. All right, Music Assistant. So finally lands as an official integration into Home Assistant, so that you can now integrate Home Assistant with Music Assistant without a custom hacks component. So all of this time, you needed hacks to run Music Assistant, and you don't need it to run in Music Assistant, but you needed to integrate with Home Assistant. So kind of still needed it. Um, and now because I'm guessing it's also because it's been adopted by the Open Home Foundation. Um, and it falls under the purview of I might be getting it wrong. It's either Open Home Foundation or Nabukasa. So no, I believe it's the Open Home Foundation
Open
has
home.
adopted
Yeah.
Music Assistant, and so now because of that, they can also say, hey, let's just bring this in officially. We do plan to support this, and so on and so forth. Right. So that's really nice to see.
All right. Breaking changes in 2024.11 HomeKit. So historically, a lot of integrations that implemented doorbells as binary sensors, uh, and they had a device class for occupancy. Um, this design, so of the device class being occupancy, um, was replaced with the new event entities, which use a purpose-built device class of doorbell. So there's now a new doorbell device that's available. HomeKit will no longer automatically link binary sensors with device class occupancy as a linked doorbell sensor. So linked doorbell sensors can continue to be configured manually via YAML. So if you do need the old doorbells type sensor, you can do that in YAML. It's not available in the UI, but yeah, that is a breaking change for HomeKit there.
Also in NetAtmo. So the preset modules, sorry. So the preset modes of the thermostat have now been renamed so that they can support translations. So schedule, frost guard, and manual have now been renamed to lowercase schedule, frost underscore guard, and lowercase manual.
All right, update entities. The state attributes of update entities have been changed. The in progress state attribute is now always a Boolean, never an integer, and a new state attribute of update percentage has been added. The update percentage is a number between 0 and 100 if an update is in progress and the entity supports reporting progress. Or the state would be none if an update is not in progress, or an update is in progress but the entity does not support reporting um, progress. So yeah, that's good.
Google domains Spider and Bloom Sky are no longer available. So not sure the
Yeah,
reason why. I'm
all
guessing
those
nobody
services
wants.
gone. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Oh yeah, I guess Google domains itself is gone, right? So
Yeah, exactly. I think the other ones have gone as well. Declined Google Calendar alerts or events. They will no longer be displayed in the calendar. So previously, if you had received an invite to an event on your Google Calendar and you declined it, it would still appear in the Home Assistant calendar. Those events, once you mark them as declined, will be removed from your UI copy of them in your Home Assistant instance.
right. I think that's it for 2024.11. Just a couple of announcements. We just want to give a huge shout out to our new Patreon, Brian. Thank you for supporting us. And I think there's an update from Nick.
Yeah, so
We-
Nick from Slopes to Smart Homes, I think a few episodes ago, he had a great update. So Nick wrote into us saying, "Thanks for the podcast. I was able to get the full time. Thanks to the podcast, I was able to get the full real time feed from the marketing department, and it turns out it has everything I need. I have made my first custom component and I've been asked to build a dashboard for our employee spaces. So, if you didn't listen to the episode, Nick works during the winter up in the mountains doing as a ski instructor. So, yeah, he spends a lot of time driving up in remote parts of the hills, up into this ski resort where he's then got a locker room full of gadgets and sensors that he wants to be able to essentially pull into his home so he can say, hey, what's the ski conditions like today? And now he can pull that data down for the employees. Now, the best part Nick was able to do, I now have a full AI agent with real time access to the info too. So thank you so much for the chance to talk about all this on the podcast. I'm glad something this nerdy and fun came out of it. Um, yeah, I love this update because I know like Nick was trying to get all these sensors from the resort itself. He wanted to know like how much snow was up there, and just be able to show it in a real time way for the other instructors to be able to go, yep, okay, cool, it's
yeah.
gonna be a good day. What yeah, um, cool. And if you are interested, Nick has created a custom component so you can install it yourself and pull in the live feed from the ski resort if that's something you're interested in. We'll leave links in the show notes.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, love it.
That is 2024.11.
That's it. Right, I do have one more update for you.
Oh, I want to know.
So last episode I talked about Matter. Um,
Yep.
so I said I just got the little Miros presence sensor, and it was like magic. I hooked it up to my Amazon Echo. Um, I got sick and tired of the Amazon Echo. I wanted to know the state of the device, right? And I was like, "Ugh," like because I can't get that out of the Amazon Echo, right? Because it doesn't have a two-way API. It'll take the data from Home Assistant, but it won't bring the devices back into Home Assistant. Um, so Nabucasa had obviously given Rohan and both myself and Rohan a Home Assistant Green, and as part of that, I can then access the add-on store. And as part of an official add-on is the Matter server. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in and
Yep.
install it. So I installed the Matter server add-on. Seemed pretty basic. Like it's just install the add-on, gives you an IP address or whatever. Um, and then I just unlinked the Mirrorless device from the Amazon Echo, which then put it back into pairing mode. And then once it was in pairing mode, it was literally, I think, popped up in Home Assistant again, new device discovered, configured it, hit the OK button to say, yes, my Matter server is on this server and this IP address. And it's now in Home Assistant as a first class entity. Like I can see all the attributes of the sensor. I do have to have the Home Assistant Green powered on, so I'm not using the green for anything else at the moment apart from this Matter server and Music Assistant. Um, so yeah, I'll just need to move the Matter server to somewhere else if I want to, not have to run the green all the time. But the green did replace another server that was running 24/7. It's probably chewing up a lot more energy anyway. So I'll take that for what it is at the moment. But yeah, Matter for something that's in beta, um, and Matter being such like a new protocol, I was really impressed with the way it's working and the way
Yeah.
it is working with Home Assistant as well. I am certainly going to be looking for more Matter devices moving forward. I do think this is the future.
Interesting. Okay.
It just seamlessly integrated, right? No, it's a shame that it's Wi-Fi based. I think it's Wi-Fi based. I don't know. It's still magic to me, right? I'm pretty sure like that I had to give it Wi-Fi credentials that it is Wi-Fi based. So that does concern me a little bit, but yeah, just the way it was a seamless experience to integrate, no cloud connections or anything that required. Just yeah, fantastic.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Would you move your existing instance into the green,
Absolutely not.
or is that just a
So,
lot of work?
well, no, it's not that. Well, I mean, Home Assistant has the backups now, right? And
Yeah.
I'm
That's what
pretty
I'm saying.
thrifty moving files around. Um, so not to, I'm not digging the green in any way, but I did find it a bit. So, some context: the server that the green replaced for me was just running Z-Wave JS, and that was it, 24/7. So I was like, I don't want to be wasting that server or that old computer essentially just for a Docker container. I've got the green. It's Raspberry Pi, Raspberry Pi 4 essentially. It's going to be much cheaper to run. I downloaded the Z-Wave JS add-on. I moved all the Z-Wave JS files into the green, and it worked. I got it, for the most part, it was fine. But eventually, I found that my Z-Wave network was constantly going offline, like just in Home Assistant was being marked as unavailable. So I had my Home Assistant instance on one computer, and then it would over IP talk to the green, which was then running Z-Wave JS server over there. And yeah, I think even the worst scenario, I think I exceeded. So I have an alert set up through Nabocasa every time my dishwasher sensor goes offline, which is a Z-Wave power monitor. So that was an alert to tell me that my Z-Wave network was down. Right, I had exceeded the daily limit, which I think is pretty high. It's like 400 or 4,000 messages a day. I can't remember the exact. I think it's more like 4,000. But I had exceeded my daily allotment of push notifications to my phone. Um, the network was just constantly up and down that much. Um,
Wow.
I originally thought maybe it's the USB stick, like the Z-Wave radio going. Maybe I just need to put an extension cord on it. Tried that. I thought, all right, maybe it's dying. I moved the Z-Wave JS Docker container off the green back onto the server where Home Assistant is, and the network has not gone down since. So I just think for my use, like for the fact that the green couldn't run just Z-Wave JS doesn't bode
Yeah.
well for all of my automations, all right? And I do think having Z-Wave JS and Home Assistant on the one machine has its pros and cons. In my case, probably cons in that, both of those things are probably heavy, using up a lot of resources, right? Um, so yeah, I think for me, even like just running Music Assistant at the moment, I'm not sure if it's my Sonos speakers or if it's music assistant cutting out, trying to stream the music around to the Sonos speakers. But um, yeah, I will find a use case for the green, but it's at the moment it's definitely not my mission critical stuff like the Z-Wave network or automations.
Okay, fair enough.
Have you found a use case for your green at all yet?
Yeah, I mean, I just use it for because I have the green and the yellow, right? So I use the for any like kind of testing stuff. That way, I have a little, I don't know, like a little lab setup there, and I use the yellow as my proper home assistant uh, production instance. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it. That's their updates. 2024 to 11. See you on the next one. Thanks, Rohan.
Cheers.
Cheers.